get through.
Hey guys, ElectricPlay46 here, back with another Blender tutorial, and I got a new intro. Made it myself in Blender. It is right here. If I open it, I'll show it to you again. And this intro is used in Blender, obviously, and it's basically just, if I view from camera, you already saw it from camera, but it just starts out, the text moves around, and then the camera starts to move. Like, you can see the camera move, and you can see all these like things flying around. You can see these lines or some at the beginning too. And so I'm gonna show you how to make that. And what we're first gonna start doing is making a new project. Alright, so now that we're in Blender, we're gonna hit X and delete. And that'll just delete the default cube. We don't have to delete everything else, but you might want to, because we don't need the light. So we're also going to create a text, and this is going to be our starting, whatever you want to call it. It's just going to be our starting. I don't know. It's going to be the main part of your intro. It's going to show your name, and it's going to show your name pretty well because it's going to be moving around everywhere. And so the way I just rotated the text is I created a new text. And I hit RX90. And that just rotates it on its side. And the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add some depth and some, like, some extrude, some depth, and some resolution. And so for extrude, you're just going to want to find a good thickness, like 0.057, and then for depth, you don't have to set it very high, and you have that effect. Now we got rid of the light, so you can't see it very well, but it's got little lines here. And then to make it so they're not as defined, you can set the resolution to a higher value, and that just like smooths out the text. It gives it a nice little material and texture there. And our text is going to be glowing, and so we're going to add a new, sorry, I'm totally nervous today. I didn't get a lot of sleep, and so I'm really tired, but I got a new, you go into the texture, and you're going to want to create a new. Now, if your texture doesn't look like this, here you change it to Cycles Render. You might have Blender Render activated, and so if you see this, that's because you have Blender Render. So now you just want to click on the diffuse and select emission. And now if I go into render view by hitting Shift Z, you'll see it's a glowing text. And since we won't really need man, I can't talk today. Since we're gonna have a black background, we're gonna go into the world settings and just drag this to black. And that creates this effect. Now you can choose the color you want. For instance, I'm gonna choose blue, and that'll give you a blue. You can also raise the power of it to something like this. It's pretty good. And now if you want, what you can also do, sorry, is to make it look even, sorry, never mind, forget that. Well, actually, yes, because, never mind, I don't even know what to do. Sorry, guys, I'm just totally messed up today. But now that we have our text set up, we're going to edit what we want it to say. So I'm going to enter tab, and I'm just going to delete this, and we're going to type in intro. So now you have nice intro text, and you can, or I can set it to like your name or whatever. You can set it to whatever you really like. So I'm going to keep at intro. And now to set up the camera view, we're going to go view and select camera, or you can hit the number, or you can hit 0 on the number pad, and that is not at the top of the keyboard. Now, what I just did there is I hit N and I hit lock camera to view, and what that'll does is this is when it's not locked to view, but when you select lock camera to view, the camera will go with you. So I'm gonna set it. You can also go into the view from the front. Oh my god, sorry, camera. And then I'll just stick it there. And unlock camera to view. And now you have your camera set up where you want it to be. And now to set up the animation for the text. So we're just gonna drag it over here. And we're gonna view from camera so we can see what this will look like. And what you can do is you can go in down here, and you see this, we want it to rotate, so we can shift select this button right here below. If you don't see this, or if it's like this, you can hit this add button. And now you can rotate the text. So I'm just going to rotate it forward a bit. And now what we're going to do is we're going to set a keyframe. So we're going to hit I and go location rotation, or lock rot. Sorry about any background noise you guys might be hearing, but you know, my microphone isn't the best. I'm wearing a headset. So anyway, now that we have our keyframe set, we're going to drag it to frame 15. Sorry, Kane, yes. But we might rotate this back. And hit location rotation, and now our text moves. Now I also might want it to move down as it rotates, so I can drag it down and hit location rotation once again, and that'll just edit the keyframe. And so after that, we can drag it to frame 30, because 15 plus 15 is 30. Drag it back and maybe rotate it again. So it'll just sort of go back. And then you might want it to like flip over. So you'll have it rotate along the x-axis again the other way. If I can just get this up there. So it'll just fly back and like this. Maybe it'll rotate again. Or wait. Do like this. Maybe it'll rotate back again. And then maybe we want it to sort of slide up, like so, and turn this back, and do that. And you're going to keyframe all of this, and it will look like this. And then after it does that, it'll just come down and maybe fly back a little, then come forward a little. Now you're gonna want to select these keyframes sort of individually. Like you're gonna want to choose a good sort of spot for each one. So I'm gonna put it there. So now you have this. And maybe you want the camera to move, so what you can do is you can click the outside of your camera view. Now if you don't have it in camera view, like I said earlier, you can go to view and hit camera. And you're going to select the edge. And now maybe when it's spinning here, I want the camera to go from here to here. Because, sorry, you need to lock the camera to view. Before you do that, by hitting N, drag it forward a little. And as it spins back, it'll go back. Location rotation as always. So it'll sort of, move with it. And that just sort of makes it a little bit cooler. And maybe from here, you can have it go from here to here. Here's some, no, not that. Go from here to here. So now it just sort of, just moves with the whatever video you want to do. Maybe from here, as it travels up, the camera will travel up with it. And then it'll go back down as it sort of flips. So I would do that. And then maybe you want it to sort of rock back and forth with the text. So you're going to drag it back a little. And when I do this, like when it moves full scale, that's not very accurate. And so we can hold Control, the middle mouse button, and we can move it a little more accurately. So we'll move it to here. Then we'll drag it in more. And finally have it come to position here. So now that we have that done, we'll see it sort of just flips around and does that with the intro, with our text. And it looks like this. It rendered, and you enter render view by hitting Shift-C. Or it'll look something like that. It'll look much, much cleaner. So, we can also set a material for the text from this view by going into settings and set the view port color, and you can hit this little like turkey baster here and just hit that, and that'll set a blue text for our intro, and that sets for the same. And so now that we have the text animation done, we're gonna create some of those lines that would go from like here to here, or here to here, or whatever. And to make that happen, we're gonna create a curve. And so we're gonna go here and create, or we can hit Shift A and hit curve, and we're gonna select Bezier. Drag it back a little, drag it up and over. And right here you see we have this little thing right here, and you can just edit these to go where you want it to go. So it's going to go from here to here, and we're going to drag it down, and we're just going to rotate it, and that'll edit its path. And I want it to go through the O. And now you can have this go wherever you want, but I like it going through letters. I don't know, it's just something I like. Sorry about the kids in the background if you can hear those, but I am a kid and I have friends. Sorry, but I have friends, and the camera, you'll see it'll just sort of start there and go through the O. And now we need to add some thickness, because right now you can't see it through the render view. And also for the intro, since we want it to be a little bit shaded and not totally just totally glowing, you can go to the surface again, and you can go to the texture editor, and instead of hit emission, go add shader. And what that allows you to do is add multiple shaders. So we're going to go emissions, or sorry, not refraction, emissions, wherever it is, emissions here, and you're going to also select diffuse, and that'll get a sort of glowing, but it's still got that shade to it. And I'm going to select the color again by using our turkey baster here. So now it has that glow, but it also has shading. And that is really cool. I love that. So what we're going to do next is we're going to animate our curve. Sorry I didn't do that earlier, but we're going to select the curve editor, and Bezier curve, we're going to call that line through O. Now that's just completely, you don't even have to do that, it's just something I like to do. And up here, But anyway, so once we've done that, we're gonna go depth, and we're gonna just sort of raise that to something like that, and then we're gonna go resolution, and that'll just make it sort of circular. And so now we have a visual curve, and I'm gonna make this whatever texture you really want. I'm gonna set it to something like green and use emissions. So it'll just fly through the O at about this frame, 120. And to make it fly through the O, like go from here to here and have the tail trail, you can go here and you see the start, it edits it. And so with this one, if we enter edit mode, it goes from here to here. But if we were to do start to go from here, oh sorry, actually that works. But we're gonna add keyframes to this. And so what we do is I'm gonna go to the 120th keyframe and hit I over the start and I over end. And we're gonna drag it to the from 20 to 40. So the start is now going to be here, and we're gonna once again go over it and hit I, and we're also gonna do that with the end. No, oh sorry, but anyway, sorry about that. No, but I'm doing a tutorial and I can't have people interrupting me. My folks are doing something, but anyway, so we're gonna drag the end next at frame 160 because it goes from frame 120 to frame 160, and we're gonna move the end to there. And now it just sort of flies through nicely. And we can also duplicate that by hitting D, and we can drag it over, and maybe you want it to go through the N. And we can also edit its path once again. Or, through the T, whatever. But anyway, once we have that, they both sort of fly through at the same time. And the camera sees it like this. And maybe we want this to go out of camera view, so we can just sort of see that, and it goes way out off camera. And once it once the text is secure, the camera can have a couple like boom booms, because that might look good with the music we're going to add. And so you just go to frame maybe 130. This is just user preference, but I'm gonna hit I location rotation and move it just a couple frames, like 7 frames, and move it forward, and then move it back 7 frames, or 7-8 frames, and it'll just go like a boom or whatever. Maybe 5 frames. You can just experiment with what frames look best. So it's just like bam, bam, bam. And it'll just sort of like thump, I guess. Like drums, boom, boom, boom. So you have the beats. Or whatever. What are those? Okay, guess they're not viewed in the render. But anyway, so the camera will just sort of thump, thump along with the music. And that is the last thing we're going to add. And we can find, and maybe we want the text to totally fly at us once it's done. And so we're going to go to the text, and maybe frame 165, we're going to go I, and then fly it forward. Just sort of fly forward at the text. Maybe more rotation than that. And that keyframe is really fast, like it just flies instantly. And so to change that, we can go, and we're gonna just add a new one by using this little triangle thing up here. Oops. And just slide that over. get rid of this, and down here you can enter dope sheet. And that just gives you a list of all the keyframes. And so we're at the text, and we just want that keyframe to be much slower. So we're gonna move it to a frame 192 or something. And so it's much slower. Maybe it flies even further. So it's just totally lost to the camera. Maybe even slower if you like. Now it just flies forward. And maybe you want the camera to move towards it too. So we can keyframe the camera, go to about here, and fly through. And so our intro to our YouTube channel is finally done. And so it looks like this. We have our lines flying through it. We go and it flies to us, and in the end it all looks black, and we can introduce ourselves just like I have done. And maybe at the end you want to put it there too, but that really doesn't matter, and you're just going to want to find a good end frame like 200 and put that as your end frame. And anyway, that is it for this tutorial. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope this one gets popular like my shock text tutorial. Also be sure to check that out. And also, thank you for any support you can give me. Like and comment. I really appreciate it. Even subscribe if you're new to the channel. I recommend you check out any other videos. And I will see you guys next video. Peace off.